Hi everyone, this is Ashley, and I have decided to make an instructional video about the new first response, new design that they have come out with recently. So I would like to go over a few things with you. First off and foremost, unfortunately, I am actually not a big fan of the change, and I'll explain why here in just a minute. But first, I wanted to go ahead and show you the new test and how it is different from the old design. The old design was actually flat and the tip wasn't as wide. So this is actually the new test. And it actually kind of resembles the clear blue test to an extent. The tip is actually a bit wider. The results window is actually a bit wider as well, and the handle curves. So if you look at it, it's actually like this. But you actually have to be careful when you're taking this test, and I'll tell you why here in just a second. But first off and foremost, before we do anything else, I definitely want to express how important it is to take the instructions and read the pamphlet thoroughly with pretty much any test, home pregnancy test you're opting to take, just simply because each test can be different. And even if you've taken the same brand of test, they may have more than one brand. It may have a different indication depending on whether or not you opt to collect a urine sample in a cup or you opt to put the tip in your urine stream. There could be a different amount of seconds. There could be a different weight as far as how to interpret the results within a matter of minutes, within a matter of, a few minutes, or some within 10 minutes, some within 1 minute, some within 3 minutes. So it's really important that you read the instructions thoroughly. I really highly recommend doing that. And not to mention, I also highly recommend whenever you're opting to test early, for those of you who are tracking ovulation by, say, cervical fluid, OPKs, and all that good stuff, and you're opting to test early, you definitely want to use a test that is highly sensitive. And first response is quite highly sensitive. And again, I will explain that to you here in just a second. But you want to definitely, I actually recommend using highly concentrated FMU, or first morning urine. It's typically going to have the highest amount of HCG, which is the pregnancy hormone, in it. And usually it's going to be a dark yellow to a cider looking color, such as this right here. That is highly concentrated. That's actually over the course of about 10 hours of sleep this morning. So that's why it's so highly concentrated. But you can also, if you, some people actually get darker lines, in the afternoon using SMU, second morning urine, or even in the evening. So if you opt to do that, I just highly recommend that you do minimal of 3 to 4 hour hold with little to no beverages if possible. But I would definitely restrict the beverages and, the intake to as little as possible, just so you can have highly concentrated urine. So you don't want to get a false negative just due to the fact that the urine is too diluted. So it's really important that you have really highly concentrated sample if you're opting to test early. Now, if you're doing a test on, say, the day of your missed period, or even a few days having a missed period, more than likely any sample of, throughout the day will be fine, and you should yield, some kind of a positive result. It's going to be, and I do stress this, it's going to be any kind of test that you take, whether it's highly sensitive or not, is going to be a lot more accurate on or around your missed period, or even past your missed period. So I always recommend, if you can wait, to definitely wait, because sometimes it can be really heartbreaking if you have what is called a chemical, which is you test positive early on because you're tracking your ovulation, and then your tests go from being positive to being negative, and then boom, right around the time that you would get what would be a normal period, you'll start to bleed, which would be ideally an extremely early miscarriage, but they're known as chemicals. And pretty much anything that cannot be detected on a scan or an ultrasound can also be indicative of a chemical, or known as a chemical as well, or early miscarriage. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that for you. Now, this test in itself is highly sensitive. We actually in our group, we have a Facebook group. It's called the Pea on a Stick Freaks. And me and the admins, we actually called the manufacturer, and we found out ourselves, heard it verbatim from the representative, one of the representatives, that this test is actually known as a quantitative test versus a qualitative test. And basically what that means is that it's designed to basically detect any amount of HCG over 0. So a lot of us actually have levels of 5 MIU or below, and for various different reasons. I mean, there's all kinds of different reasons. You could have certain types of cancers. You could have certain types of cysts. You know, you could be taking medication that has HCG in it, which you have to be really careful when you're doing that, because that can also yield a false positive result. But the whole thing is, this test can pick up on levels below 5 MIU, which levels below 5 MIU are actually technically considered to be not pregnant. So, and I just wanted to show you this really quick before we do the test, because it actually says it right here on the box. If I can like zoom in real quick. Okay, and basically what it says, important note regarding positive results, because this test detects low levels of HCG, it is possible that the test may give positive results even if you are not pregnant. If you test positive but think you may be pregnant, you should check with your doctor. So again, I'm going to stress this. It is not uncommon for some of us to get false positive results using this test, simply because it detects any amount of HCG. So buyer beware, just be cautious. If you don't have any line progression, and what that simply means is you take a test, you get a faint line, and say you wait a day or two and you take another test. If the line is not getting any darker, I would be very wary of that. I would definitely follow up with a digital. They have a digital FRER gold, which is first response gold, and that actually detects, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, around 18 MIU. So it's extremely sensitive, and that's going to say yes, you're pregnant, or no, you're not. So it's really a good idea to follow up with a digital, or even go and get blood work done, an HCG quantitative that will give you precise numbers, and it will let you know whether or not you are in fact pregnant. A qualitative blood test, on the other hand, requires a certain concentration of HCG. So if you don't have a high enough concentration, that test will come out negative. So that's why I always recommend doing the HCG blood serum, because that will give you precise numbers, whether it's below 5, whether it's in between 5 and 25, or above 25 MIU. So again, please be cautious, please be wary, and be careful. Now let's go into the actual taking the test, and what I'm going to do, and it's very specific with the instructions. I always recommend collecting urine sample inside of a sanitary clean cup, just simply because if you notice that your sample is not concentrated enough, you can dump it and try again later. So to avoid wasting a test, in my opinion, it's best to do that, because then you can try again later and you're not, wasting a test. So that's what I usually opt to do, and that's what I usually recommend to everyone else. Now, if you're doing this, or whether you're actually opting to put this tip in your urine stream, you're going to do it precisely for 5 seconds. And be careful. You need to do it for just about precisely 5 seconds, and I will tell you why. Because the design, unlike the old one where it was actually flat, because of the design, it causes the moisture to go up, and then the moisture will come back down, and it'll create a little puddle. And so moisture can very easily get trapped in that little window right there. So it's always really good to make sure that you don't oversaturate the test, just simply for that reason. Now, most of the time, I would say that, say if you have a cassette test or whatnot, it's not going to hurt to do it a couple extra seconds. It's not going to hurt to add a couple extra drops, just simply because the result's going to be the same no matter what. But in this case, it will make a difference, because it can make it appear as though there is a line when really there is not. So you want to make sure that you don't do that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the cap off, and I'm going to set this down for just a second, and I'm going to dip the test for precisely 5 seconds. And then what's going to happen is you're going to see a bit of pink run across just like that. and you're supposed to read the results within 3 minutes, but not to exceed 10 minutes. So you can read it up until the 10-minute point, but usually if there's a positive result, it's going to appear within that 3 minutes. But not to say that it may not appear a little bit, a couple minutes later, but you just definitely don't want to read it past the 10-minute allotted time frame, specified by the manufacturer here. So I'm going to go ahead and set this down. Now, if HCG is detected, first of all, the control line is going to appear. And that's with a control line will actually react with just about any liquid. That just simply indicates that the test is working properly. And what that means is it's going to react with, say, even water. So when you see that line, you know that your test is good. And if there's any kind of HCG on the chemical regions on the antibody strip will react with the dye as it crosses over if there's any kind of HCG detected, and then you're going to see a second line appear. So even if you see a really faint line, that means supposedly that HCG has been detected. But again, I'm very wary of faint lines, especially with first response, being as it's quantitative test versus qualitative, and it'll detect any amount of HCG. So I do highly recommend to do follow-up using the same test with line progression, or even maybe something a little less sensitive, or at least, I would say around 10 to 20 MIU. And, your HCG, if it's a healthy pregnancy, it's going to double within about 48-hour period. So your lines are going to get darker as the HCG actually increases. So that's what I recommend doing. Okay, I'm going to set this down. Let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to dip this for about 5 seconds. Okay, so now I've sat the test down, and sometimes it can take a few minutes for the dye to run across once you've done that. Again, I've only dipped it for 5 seconds, so I definitely don't want to oversaturate the test. This is the packaging that it would come in. I was also going to suggest that it's always a good idea to make sure and check the expiration, because an expiration can also cause a false positive result. There's actually quite a few things that can cause a false positive result. Heat is one of them. Be careful of how you store your test. Make sure that there's not a hot shower going on in the background or hot tub or whatnot. Heat can definitely cause a false positive. Certain medications containing HCG, like I said, certain cancers, certain cysts, you got to be really careful with it. Okay, so I do apologize because my flash went off. Okay, but as you can see, the dye's gone across. So we're right at 13 minutes. So once we hit 16 minutes, we are going to check the test, and we're going to see what the result will be. Now, it is pretty wide, and it's very visible, very easy, but as you can see, there's a glare. So sometimes it makes it a bit harder to read. What I prefer to do actually is if you have like a nice window with natural sunlight during the day, that is the optimal way to actually read a test. Sometimes it can be a bit too bright, but for the most part, it produces the best type of lighting. I say this, we have a Facebook group, but there are many groups, many fertility forums, infertility forums, on the internet, if you Google and search. And I really highly recommend that if you're going to tweak a test, don't over tweak it. What does tweaking mean? It simply means you're enhancing the test. So you take a picture of it, you post it on Facebook or on a fertility forum, and you enhance the color, you enhance the contrast, the saturation, etc. So I really highly suggest, if you're going to do that, to not over tweak it. If you have to break your test apart, if you have to hold a flashlight up to the back of it, if you have to go to the extent of opening up your refrigerator and holding it up to a light, more than likely that line is probably not there, or it's not valid. So I would just suggest, and I'm not saying you're not pregnant, I'm just saying there's not enough HCG in your system to detect a visible line. So wait a couple days and just retest. And if you are in fact pregnant, then that test is going to show positive, and you're going to see a much more visible line, and You really, if you're going to tweak, just kind of pull color. Also, something else I want to talk about is inverting a test. And what that means is it kind of looks like an x-ray. It looks black and white. And that, my friends, that can also pull out lines that aren't really there. That can pull out indents. An indent is simply the antibody strip. And every single test has an antibody strip. That is what the HCG chemically binds to if it's detected. And sometimes you can have a very visible antibody strip. And yes, if you invert a test, it's going to pull that out. And same with an evaporation line. It can pull that out. It doesn't necessarily have to have color. Any kind of a line can be illuminated if you invert a test. So I really highly recommend that you don't do that, because for me, that does absolutely no good. Okay, we are almost at the 16-minute point, meaning that it's been almost about 3 minutes. And so we are going to look at the results of the test. Okay. And again, I apologize because my flash went out. And I'm not sure why, because it was here a little bit ago. Okay. I don't see another line. So should another line occur or appear within the next couple minutes or so, we'll check it again. But for the most part, I do believe it's a negative test. So anyways, this is Ashley, and I'm about to sign off. Thank you again for watching. If you felt this video has helped you in any kind of way, do us a favor, like the video and subscribe to our blog. And our YouTube channel. That would help us out quite a bit, and I'll definitely continue to make these instructional videos and these experimental videos. So that would definitely help us out a lot, and that will let me know if you enjoyed watching the video. Also, share the information, share the video. That's what it's for. It's for informational purposes. And if you happen to have a Facebook, give our Facebook a like. It's Pea on a Stick Freak. And if you're going through the journey, feel free to join our lovely little Pea Stick group, which is the Pea on a Stick Freaks. You can follow us on Twitter, Pea on a Stick FRK, and also Instagram, Pea on a Stick Freak. So we definitely look forward to having you in there and seeing your shiny little face, especially if you've had a profile for longer than a month. Because unfortunately, we do have an issue with trolls and spammers and stuff like that, so we really opt to only allow members who've had a profile for at least longer than a month, just to kind of avoid those situations. Not to mention, I'm really excited because along with doing our SSB, which stands for Secret Sock Buddy, which our lovely admin came up with and designed, and it's sort of like being a pen pal, except we get paired up with people and exchange care packages that includes at least one pair of socks and scents and trinkets and all that good stuff, just to kind of show our support and show that we are caring and thinking about you, which you can sign up for once every 3 months or so. We have actually created a wonderful sister group, which is called Aligning the Stars, and that is actually dedicated to our tarot card readings and our lovely admin, which is a perfect co-partner for this. She's a co-owner of this new sister Facebook group. She does essential oils. So she's actually in the process of working on that now. We also do contests where we hold free readings periodically. So again, if you're interested in getting, and this is really exclusive to the members of, our Facebook groups, Pea on a Stick Freaks, and of course our new tarot group, which is an essential oils group, Aligning the Stars. So look us up, join. We definitely have members that actually kind of intertwine both groups. It's wonderful. We have some terrific ladies in there, and it's really a lot of fun. We really enjoy doing the tarot readings. So if you're interested in getting a tarot reading, join the group, and definitely join our Pea Stick group. If you are an addict like so many of us are, and you enjoy peeing on a stick and receiving valid information regarding pea sticks and fertility and the charting basics and all that good stuff, and again for tarot readings, it's awesome. So it's a lot of fun. We really enjoy doing it, so definitely join it. Again, it's called Aligning the Stars. So be sure and join our group. We'd love to have you in there. And again, our Pea on a Stick Freaks, that's our fertility group. our Trying to Conceive group. And check out www.ponestickfreak.com. We also have official tarot tabs on there as well. So you can also pay for reading that way, or you can join the group. You can enter contests, but it's really exclusively, again, for those members who are inside those groups. So Aligning the Stars, be sure and join our sister group, our main group, aka the P on a Stick Freaks. This is Ashley signing off. I'm going to take one more look at the test, since it's been like another, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes, and don't think I see anything. So that's ideally how you want it to look, especially if it's going to be a negative result. Nothing pulled up right there, and you don't see a line that's not really existent. So, okay. Thank you again for watching. Like and subscribe to our channel, like our video. We really appreciate that, and share the knowledge. And again, go to www.ponestickfreak.com and join our new Facebook group, Aligning the Stars, for a really amazing tarot reading. This is Ashley. Y'all have a wonderful day.